Today, I want to talk about the evolution of the feature service coming up. Hey guys, it's Hussein. Before we jump to the podcast, I just want to share with you some exciting news. I just published my new Kindle book on November 18th titled Learn GIS Programming with ArcGIS Online and the JavaScript API 4.9. That's the latest and greatest, shiniest stuff. Been working on this book for 6 months and I'm so excited that it's finally done and it's there. This book is designed for entry-level developers who are interested in building web applications on top of the ArcGIS Online with the JavaScript API. You don't have to have programming knowledge, or you just have to have like very basic programming knowledge. This book is written for Linux, Windows, and Mac users. Check it out. It will mean the world to me. Thank you very much. Check it out. www.husseinnasser.com. I'm going to put it in the description in the podcast. And with that said, let's get on with the show. It all started with the file system where you have your machine and your data and you start working with it in the same machine, whether it was in a floppy disk or a hard drive. It all started there. What's up, y'all? This is your host, Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, where we discuss software engineering and GIS by example. Today's topic is the feature service. But before we talk about the feature service, we need to actually discuss why the feature service is what it is today, really. Why do we keep inventing new things, right? Why can't we stay where we are? Okay, so back when first data type was invented, right? Shapefiles, I would say. Okay, maybe there was something before that, but in general, you have shapefiles and you have application that allows you to edit this shapefile. You can build maps. You can store features in these shapefiles, and you can build multiple feature classes in those shapefiles. But all of this was kind of the same machine, right? So you'll have your shapefile. You'll add it to the application and you start adding features to it, save, and it's pretty cool, right? You have everything in the same location, and whenever you want to transfer data, you put it in a flash drive, move it around, right? Or floppy disk back then, right? And you're gonna move it like CD drive or upload it somewhere, and then people will get your information. And it was a medium of transferring data, okay? But if another person want to edit your data and want to share this their edits with you, become really challenging, right? Because they have to edit that data and they have to send it back. It says, okay, we got your edits, and how can we merge my edits and yours? And you started to come up with these workflows, really, where you can edit this area, but I'm gonna start editing this area, and then we're gonna just delete everything else and just edit that area, and then we'll figure something out. So it was tedious, I would say, right? So multi-user editing was really tedious. So we invented the database in general. Okay, relational databases came in. Oracle, Postgres, SQL Server, and ESRI came and says, there are a lot of databases. I need to build something that is common and agnostic, and then I can talk to all these relational databases without really needing to know what's on those databases. Thus the invention of the spatial database engine, or the ArcGIS. Okay, so ArcGIS will install, and then this acts like the layer between the application and the database. So theoretically, an ArcObject developer would write their application, right? And it will magically work against this database, right? Regardless of whether Oracle or SQL Server or Postgres. That allows us to do multi-user editing as well, because of the relational nature and the connection, right? So we have a centralized database, we have multiple users connecting to this database. Direct connect, I'm not going to go through the direct connect, maybe it's another episode. It's a difference between direct connect and 3-tier, which it was retired a long time ago. So direct connect is, let's just talk about direct connect, where the client must have the knowledge to connect to the database. And with that knowledge came a lot of responsibility on the client, the application. ArcMap, let's talk about ArcMap, or even Pro, right? You talk directly to the database. That leaves you with a lot of baggage. The baggage is the client libraries of the database. How do you talk to a database, right? You need to learn how to talk to this particular database. You have to install the database drivers, the client libraries. For Oracle 11G, you have to have the Oracle 11G client. For 12C, you have to 12C client. For WAN, and so on. For SQL Server, you have to have the libraries to connect to the SQL, because it's all TCP connections at the end, and everyone just invents their own protocol. So you have to adhere to this protocol, and that the only way to do that is if you know their protocol, and the only way that you know the protocol is to install their custom library. Nobody uses any standard per se, right? There is no standard to connect to a database. I don't think there is. Maybe there is, I don't know. But that created a problem. It solved a lot of problem, but created some more problems, I guess. I would say problem. They are more like inconvenience, if you think about it, right? It says, yeah, so I can connect to this Oracle because I have to install all that stuff, and you have to put it in the C drive, and you go to the path, environment variables, and set the path, and some of you are already cringing. I'm sorry, I know. Yeah, so you have to do all that stuff, right? Just to connect to the database, and that's fine. I guess it's just inconvenience, but it's still, with the PC and Mac or whatever, you can do it. The problem is, in this age, in 2018, 2019, and 2000s, we have phones, we have tablets, and we need to connect to our data, right? We need to connect with our data, right? Get to know our data, really communicate with our data, and talk to the data, and then just share our feelings. Man, that was deep. Okay. Yeah, so you need to just like go to therapy if you need to. Just like feel free to do anything with the data, right? So you have to connect. You have to always connect to the data, right? So yeah. Really sorry, guys. All right, so mobile phones can't obviously have Oracle client installed in them just to connect to your Oracle database, correct? Right? You cannot just connect to your stinking Oracle 12C from your iPhone, right? That is not how it works. And And this is all thanks to Steve Jobs. Rest in peace. This guy revolutionized everything. He said, you know what? I'm not gonna put garbage on my phone, right? And he started with the Flash, right? He just banned Flash, where everyone was accepting that thing, that monstrosity. But he said, I'm only gonna put standardized stuff. I know that we still did not get to the feature service. Maybe we're gonna split this episode in two. Who knows? If you're enjoying this, if you're listening to this, you're enjoying it, let me know. I'm gonna continue talking. Right? We're in 9 minutes. I'm gonna just give it another minute and then we're gonna cut and move to the feature service. Maybe in the next episode. All right. So yeah. We're drifting. We're drifting here, guys. Okay. So that's the standard. The standard is HTTP. What's the standard to communicate? What's the communication standard, right? It can't be raw TCP and people just making up their own connection protocols. We need to invent a standard. HTTP look good, right? The web, the internet runs on HTTP. So it was adapted. Services, thus ArcGIS server was invented. Now we're back into the GIS arena now. So ArcGIS server was invented, and we said, okay, we need something similar to the SDE, the ArcSDE, but on HTTP essentially. It's an HTTP layer on top of the database. Just hide all that monstrosity from me. Okay, I want my simple client to communicate only through beautiful and nice, clean, slick, lit. I'm searching for hip words here. Fancy HTTP protocol. That's what I want. Okay. Thus, the ArcGIS server was invented, right? So you can put all that client library on the server. The server will communicate on your behalf, and then what will be on the other side is the exposure of these services as HTTP. Now, HTTP is just a transfer protocol, right? You need a way of transferring these things. JSON looks good 4 or 5 years ago, right? It's changing now. JSON looks good because JavaScript is it's the native way of communication in JavaScript. So we started transferring things on JSON. So I would send a query request. I'll get back a result as a JSON. So the client is responsible to kind of serialize this, or deserialize or serialize this result of JSON into its native form. If it's JavaScript, you're in luck. If you're in JavaScript, you're in luck. You don't have to serialize anything. Just take that JSON and poof, you got it, right? If you're C#, you need some libraries to convert JSON to C# objects, right? Or if you're Python, it will just I think there are some built-in things just to convert JSON into dictionaries, and so on. Okay, this is changing though. This is changing into the protocol buffers, which is, think of them as, why are we transferring JSON across the wire? JSON is just a bunch of strings, right? Who's looking into these wires? Who's actually just sniffing this communication and looking? So why no human is looking to this? Applications will look into this, and applications understand ones and zeros. We can actually just pull this data and then just convert it into something that a human can easily understand, right? That's the protocol buffer that Google invented, I think, 10 years ago, maybe. It will essentially serialize everything into binary, and then that will save you a lot of bandwidth, right? Networking, because you don't have to send all these strings, large strings of JSON. You can just send protocol buffer instead. And so that's essentially in a nutshell the evolution of the feature service, right? From local files to relational database to feature services, and now it's even evolving more to the portal and the WebGIS and communication between portal to portal, right? So just think of it just another layer on top of another layer, just to try to isolate users from the data, the underlying data, and works with kind of services, really, or maps, right? All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't subscribe to this podcast, please do. Really help me a lot. I really appreciate it. Check out my other content on my YouTube channel. Check out my books if you're interested in GIS. Go to husseinnasser.com/books. Check out my books. I just released my latest book, GIS Programming with ArcGIS Online and JavaScript API 4.9. And also have an online course on Python. And I'm working on more courses in the future. All right, guys. See you in the next one. You guys stay awesome. Love y'all.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.